Well, happy Tuesday. It is Tuesday, November the 5th, 310th day of the year. There are 56 days left in the year 2024, and welcome to another edition of Tuesdays with Tom. Well, I hope you all had a good Halloween. Halloween seems to have become the pre-Christmas. Ghosts, goblins, skeletons, gifts. People have started to go all out in this. Today is also Election Day, so vote. If you haven't already, vote. And if you have already, then good for you. Today is one of those every now and then roundtables that we do where we discuss any and everything and invite you to weigh in. Our show today, of course, is sponsored by the Best Girl Consulting Firm. That's Best Girl has been with us now from the very beginning. Now through 213 shows, Best Girl and TWT have grown alongside each other, and we are appreciative and grateful. So let's hear from Best Girl.
Best Girl is a consulting firm that provides customized leadership, access and inclusion, public relations, communications, and organizational consulting services. Clients include Fortune 500 companies, utilities, higher education institutions, small businesses, and associations. Best Girl's team of consultants, led by Joyce Gilly-Gossam, Emily Hedrick, and Sean Jones, partners with business and education clients to promote organizational effectiveness, communication, motivation, and leadership, with always an impact on the bottom line. Best Girl's customized consulting services include strategic planning, corporate communication, executive coaching, fundraising, and economic development.
Girl customizes the solution that fits your needs. So let's go to the round table and talk to Barbara Wallace-Edwards and Michael Walker and whomever else is out there and has got something to say, since today is a roundtable day. So good morning, Barbara Wallace-Edwards. How are you?
Good morning, Tom. I'm doing well. Thank you. How are you this morning?
Doing fine. Good morning, Michael Walker. How are you?
Good morning, TG. I'm doing well. Hope you are too. Good morning to you as well, Barbara. Hope you
Morning,
also
sir.
doing well.
Yes, I
Thank
am.
you.
Oh, which one of you guys want to kick it off here?
Go ahead, Michael.
Go ahead.
Oh.
I've been in the starting lineup for a while, but
Okay.
you know, one thing I do want to say we didn't talk about last week. Did y'all see Dwayne Wade's statue that was unveiled?
Oh, it doesn't look like anything like
I
him.
did.
I did. It's awful.
That was embarrassing.
Yes.
The scowl, the head, nothing. The only thing that
Nothing.
looked like D Wade was his number. He had the right number on.
That's the only way.
I didn't pay that close attention. I did see the statue, but I didn't I just kind of glanced at it. So I thought they were talking about how great it was.
They were at first, but once they unveiled it, it was like, that doesn't look like him at all. Whoever got that money for that sculpture just really ripped them off, because that has nothing, no resemblance to me. Didn't look like him at all.
He stole that money.
Yes, he did.
Whoever did it, because it didn't even have the contour of his face. You know, it made him look like somebody else, and he had a grimacing growl and stuff. It was just awful.
And those things are not cheap. You know, they cost a lot of money. So yeah, somebody they ripped them off really bad. I wonder if they're going to make them redo it. I don't know if there's some type of clause in there that says, but surely the committee or whoever had them to do it had to have seen it before it was unveiled to the public. I would have just said,
you would think.
Yeah, you would think. And you would think they say, go back to the drawing board, because this is not it.
And when they do that, don't they use a picture or photograph of them?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I tell you guys, and we talked about this last week after you guys had signed off. His wife, Gabrielle Union.
Gabrielle Union. Mm-hmm.
She played my wife on ER. Played my daughter. I'm sorry.
Okay.
She played my daughter on ER.
Yes.
And we had it back when she was new to Los Angeles and Hollywood, and we had a nice time. She was a nice person, and
that's a little unknown fact, Tom.
Yeah, it is. That. She was my daughter, and then this woman Juanita Jennings played my wife. And actually, Juanita played my wife in 2 or 3 shows. So, we got to know each other. I got to know her husband pretty good, and so on and so forth. But I never worked with Gabrielle again. So, but she seems to have landed on her feet and done well.
Extremely well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's. What you want to talk? Election? You want to talk football? Which one first?
Let's start with football. Neither one of them are really good right now. Well, I'm gonna be glad when today's over with. But
well, go ahead, Barbara.
Well, let's talk about our dear Auburn. I did not go to the game. I know you. I don't think you did, Tom. But Michael was there. Michael, you want to talk about the game and what's happening down there on the plains, because we can't figure out what's going on.
Well, what I will say, I'll start off with a positive note. The defense played lights out. They played very good football until the end when they got worn out. And you know that just happens if you – I mean, this guy, Diego Pavia, he was the one that came in to Jordan Hare last year and spanked Auburn. And then
he was playing for New Mexico.
He was playing for New Mexico State. Now he's at Vanderbilt.
Right.
And his head coach from last year is with him at Vanderbilt as offensive coordinator.
Right.
And Diego has been playing very well. Auburn held him to no completions for the entire second and third quarters.
Wow.
And
that's
they kept him under control. Normally, he's able to get out and run. He didn't get very many rushing yards, you know. And those young quarterbacks, we're playing, I think, just about almost an all freshman backfield back there on defense. It may be one upperclassman, but they've been playing very well. Defense played well. Offense, what I did not understand, and a guy wrote an article and said that Peyton Thorne should not be the feature player in this offense.
Never.
Now, that's difficult because it's a run-pass option, and a lot of the decisions are left up to the quarterback, but I get what he's saying. The first two plays of Auburn's opening possession were passes, okay? Which I thought was interesting considering the game that Jarquez just had. They gave Jarquez the ball, his first run, he ripped off 15 yards. Then they didn't go back to him. He finished the game with 50 yards for 12 carries.
Wow.
That's sad.
So now if you divide 12 by 50, it'll show you what his average was every time he touched the ball.
That is sad.
He kept taking him out, and he put other running backs in, and that's fine. But people were wondering why was he not getting the touches.
Right.
They asked if he was hurt. And Freeze never admitted he was hurt. What Freeze said was he thought he was gassed. He looked gassed to him.
Jarquez?
I want to know, how do you know? Did he tell you he was gassed? You know, I never saw him tap out. You know, that's the sign when you're tired, you need a break, you tap out with your helmet. He never did that. So I wonder, how could Freeze come up and say he thought he was gassed? And that takes me back to, there's something that he wants to just try to prove that Peyton Thorne is a guy. Peyton Thorne cannot take over a game. He cannot lead a team to a win if it's a close game. And the best thing to do, and the other thing he didn't do, Tom, you and I talked about this before, they never threw the ball downfield.
Wow.
And make the defense respect the long pass. And I thought that was odd. They were all short passes. The long went for 30 yards, but that's because the tight end caught the ball and ran. And just about most of his passes, he has a high completion percentage. He threw behind the players. They reached back and caught the ball and made something out of it. He never hit them on the dime, you know, right on the breadbasket.
Right. He was praised for his accuracy when he brought him in.
Well, yeah. Well, I'm telling you what my lying eyes saw. My lying eyes saw him throwing the ball behind receivers, okay? And the first play that he threw a pass on was a tight end down the middle of the field. Now, that's a big target.
Right.
Okay, the tight end, that I think that was Luke Deal. He's about 6'4", 254, somewhere like that. He could have thrown a laser because he was that far open. He didn't. He threw it over, and he had to reach out like this, so he really missed it. It would have been at least 20 yards.
But they're saying Vanderbilt has won the Iron Bowl. They beat Alabama and Auburn, so they're the Iron Bowl winners for this year. And I understand that, of course, the quarterback for Vanderbilt beat Auburn and Alabama this year, beat Auburn last year when he was playing for New Mexico State. But he's beat Freeze 3 times. So I guess he was another coach at another team, and he beat him when he was coaching another team also.
Liberty.
Okay. Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah. That quarterback said this was a payback to Auburn because they ignored him in the transfer portal. He said, there's a lot of teams that ignored me in the transfer portal. Auburn was one of them.
There was an offensive lineman that posted something on social media yesterday. He's playing at Vandy, and he's posted a text message that he received from a coach at Auburn on Christmas Day in 2021, saying that they were bypassing him, that, they had been recruiting him. They were bypassing him and they were going to go another route. But he sent it to him on Christmas Day and said, Merry Christmas. And he was saying that was very tacky. God. Yeah, very tacky to send it on Christmas Day and to send it by text rather than calling. And the fact that now he's come to Vandy and beat Auburn, he said that was just icing on the cake. That's karma.
He played linebacker. He played linebacker. Okay. And they told him that they were not going to go with any high school linebackers this cycle. In other words, they were going with the transfer portal. And they sent that text.
Wow.
So did he say who the coach was?
He did not.
He just said it was coaching staff.
Right.
I don't know, guys. We'll see.
We will.
I feel bad for the guy.
I do too.
Like I said, the defense played really well, and I don't know. Maybe I'm not a coach, and maybe I'm not qualified, but I know what my lying eyes see, and we need somebody. We need some quarterback play, and we don't have quarterback play.
And I really feel sorry for Jarquez because I think he should be having a tremendous year based on his stats from last week's game. I mean, he's a dynamic player, and it really build his stock. And as far as the draft is concerned, if he was getting to get the ball and run and show what he could do, but the fact that he wasn't even given the ball that much this past weekend, I just don't understand it.
Going into that game, he was the leading rusher in the SEC. Leading running back in the SEC.
How many times did he carry it?
12.
12.
Well, how many yards? 50 yards.
50 yards. So
what is that? That's 4 yards a carry, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
If you gave it to him 20 times, he'd have had 100 yards.
Exactly.
But wait a minute, Tom. If you need a first down, 4 yards on first down, 4 yards on second down. Okay. Now, what are you? 3rd and 2? Give it to him again.
There you go.
Yeah.
And he seems to be one of those running backs that relishes wanting the ball.
Right.
He wants the ball.
Yes.
He's one of those kind that gets better as the game go on. Because he is a hard runner and he breaks.
And if you'll notice, I mean, and he's not a big tall fella.
Right.
But if you'll notice in the NFL, many of the running backs are becoming shorter, I guess is maybe not even the right word, but they're not. Derrick Henry is the one big guy you see. Rest of them are pretty low to the ground, hard to tackle. Because when they bend over, I mean, there ain't much of a target there, So I don't know. My old roommate said that we would only win 3 games all year, and so far he's on track.
That's right. That's what I said. 3 or 4. That was going to be it. So we may possibly win another one. I don't know.
Back in September.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this: speaking of running backs, did you see Saquon Barkley?
I didn't. What did he do? I didn't see it.
That was amazing.
What did he do?
Go ahead,
he hurdled a guy backwards.
Oh, wow.
He had the ball. So you've seen players when they're running a guy get ready to try to tackle him, they hurdled him, right?
Right.
Well, he put a fake on one guy and turned around and he saw this guy coming. He jumped up in the air backwards with his back to the guy. The guy went right under and he turned around and kept running.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a run. That's a move right there.
It was amazing. I mean, because he had juked this guy that way and went that way and started coming. He flipped around like this and just jumped up in the air and spread his legs. The guy went right between them. And we're talking about somebody about 230 now. He's about 230. Okay.
And the Giants wouldn't pay him. That's why he's with Philadelphia.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
Philadelphia's glad to have him because he's awesome, man. You know?
Yes. And I tell you a big secret in the SEC is South Carolina Gamecocks. Antley, I'm talking about you. Y'all went out there and kicked Texas A&M. Well, I think Texas A&M came to Columbia, but you guys spanked them and looked pretty good. Looked like Shane Beamer has turned his season around.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Congratulations, South Carolina.
Yep. Yeah. Congratulations, Antley. Good morning. And we're glad you guys won, man. You know. Yeah. We'll win again one day.
One day. Thorne can't come back next year, so we'll win again one day. This is his last year of eligibility.
Oh Lord, let's do individual. Who's got Barbara? You up? You got something for us?
Yeah.
Yeah, Tom. I wanted to talk about the people who are going to McDonald's. Be careful. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention announced last Tuesday that multiple agencies are investigating E. coli outbreak linked to quarter pounders at McDonald's. It's affected people in several states. There have been, at that time, 49 people had gotten sick across 10 states. 10 people were requiring hospitalization and 1 death. So again, be careful. The states that are affected are Colorado, Kansas, Utah, Wyoming, Idaho, Iowa, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, Nevada, New Mexico, and Oklahoma at this time, but they're saying it could possibly impact other states as well. So you just don't know. When you're going out to eat, you have to be very careful. I don't know what you can do, but other than look at the scores, the health scores that are posted in the restaurants, and even that I'm sure probably wouldn't have helped this situation because there's no way to tell.
Yeah, that's tough.
It is.
Yeah, it came from a farm. I can't remember the name of the farm, but it's some farm out west that supplies McDonald's with all of his onions and stuff. So they've been able to link it back to this farm and what have you.
Yeah, I heard they were taking onions off of the sandwiches, so you couldn't order onions on the quarter pounder anymore for those, even the restaurants that remain open. So
yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I've got some bad habits, but McDonald's not one of them. So
me either.
All right, Michael.
Yeah, I want to share this story with you now. This story is on the down low here in Georgia. Not many people, and they're trying to keep it out of the media. I just have contacts. You guys have heard of Grady Hospital. It's a level 1 trauma center downtown Atlanta. Yes. Good hospital. But because it's also part of its charter to take care of the indigent care. Those are people that are, not only underserved, but, maybe welfare recipients, do not have health insurance. So they have a big problem with vagrancy and people coming to the hospital because they feel, heck, you can go in the hospital and sit in the waiting room or something if you want to get out of the cold or whatever. They have issues. Well, this is a horrible story, but it kind of goes back with the election and the tie-in of Roe versus Wade and the abortion law. There's this young lady. She's in her 40s, I think. She's a bodybuilder. She started feeling bad. She ended up having an aneurysm, a brain aneurysm. And she was up on the north side of Atlanta and they couldn't figure out what happened. She suffered a stroke while she was at this other hospital. So they flew her down to Grady. When she got to Grady, they said, guys, she should have gotten her here earlier. We could have taken care of her. So anyway, they went to work on her. She has a trachea in here. She has all these things that she's hooked up to and they're trying to get her back.
Right.
Last weekend, a guy came in off the street, went into the hospital, and went up to the 5th floor. And that's the floor that she's on. That happens to be the floor that there is no security on. And most of the security was down on the 1st floor trying to deal with the vagrants and what have you. He was just going through rooms to rooms. He come upon her. She can't talk. She can't reach. She's immobilized. He goes in and rapes her.
Oh my God.
God.
While this going on, and she can't call anybody. And I think something happened to some noise or something. And somebody said, well, let's go down and let me go check. So this young lady goes down to check on her and comes in and catch him in the act, raping this woman.
Gosh.
And he knocks her down, runs out of the hospital and everything, and goes out of the hospital and hides. So they're there trying to give this person, some medical aid and what have you, trying to make sure that she doesn't have anything and what have you, because she could have died because he ripped her feeding tubes and stuff out.
Oh my
Okay.
God.
Wow.
Here's the deal. He hid in a trash can.
He hid in a trash can.
Yeah, a dumpster on the street.
Oh my.
And on his way out, he stole some scrubs, nursing scrubs. So he took his clothes off and put his scrubs on and started walking down the street to get away. Luckily, the cops had a picture of him from inside the hospital, and they recognized him, and they arrested him. But here's the thing. Grady is trying to keep this out of the news and what have you. Yeah. The lady has a 20-year-old son in Nashville. They contacted him and offered him some money to be hush-hush.
Wow.
And he's like, I think he's 20 or something like that. I'm not even sure if he's able to accept that and sign on her behalf, but that's what they're trying to do because they know that it will come down hard on them if this gets out. Absolutely. The reason why I know about it is the young lady who's the nurse is a friend of mine.
Wow.
And they were telling me what was going on down there. And so it's a bad situation. Now, think about this abortion issue. Okay? There's one side that said no abortions whatsoever. Even in a place, rape or incest or what have you. Now, this is a woman that was in the hospital that was incapacitated, so to speak.
Right.
Got raped. What if she ends up pregnant by this guy? And you're going to tell her she can't get reproductive medical care in a situation like that?
Unfortunately, Michael, that's the way it stands right now. And that's
crazy. That's on the ballot in Florida. And when we talk about voting, we're talking about really more than just a presidential election. That's one of the things on the ballot is abortion and people being able to make their own decisions. The other thing that's on the ballot is marijuana in Florida. Leisure, what do you call it? Leisure marijuana or whatever.
Right.
And, recreational.
Recreational.
Yeah, recreational. There you go. And so that's on the ballot as well. And of course, DeSantis is doing everything he can to defeat both of them. And I kind of feel like they may get passed. I think the abortion thing will probably get passed. I've never understood that thing. I guess there's some moral clause there, but I just don't see where that's my business to tell somebody else with their life, especially in a situation like Michael just mentioned. But that's interesting. And of course, some places, last time I was in New Orleans, you could smell marijuana all up and down the street, And,
right.
So I don't. We'll see how it goes. But DeSantis is doing everything he can to. Well, they've just come up with a lot of stories that aren't true. Let me put it that way. And I was telling this guy back when I was at Auburn, probably before either one of you guys got there. We had this sheriff that would, when it was time to get reelected, he'd go out and bust a few college students and say it was a major drug bust and they were cleaning up the county and all that. And so he came to Haley Center one day to a class and lectured about marijuana and how it smelled, how it affected you, so on and so forth. And he took out 3 joints he had gotten somebody to roll up, and he said, "I'm gonna pass these around, and you guys smell them and see what I want you to know what it's like." So he passed the 3 joints around. He said, "Now, if I don't get these 3 joints back, I'm gonna strip search everybody in this class, and you may end up going to jail." So he passed the 3 joints around, and 4 joints came back. Somebody wasn't taking any chances.
Right.
In case someone kept one.
Right. Just in case.
Oh my goodness. That is hilarious. That's crazy.
You gotta have a little humor in it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, speaking of humor, okay. I told you guys about my interaction with this young lady in the gym that looked like Marjorie Taylor Greene. And when I told her she did, and she said, I take that as a compliment. And that left me speechless.
Yeah, of course
well,
it did.
Over the weekend, Mark Cuban, the former owner of the Mavericks, Dallas Mavericks, he was on The View last week with Whoopi Goldberg and that crew. And he said that Trump is just not used to being around smart, strong, intelligent women. Mm-hmm. That he doesn't hang out with smart, strong, intelligent women. So here comes Marjorie Taylor Greene to the rescue. So she decides to humor.
Yeah, right.
That's what I said. You guys get it now.
Yes.
She decided to film herself in her gym and in her garage. And she said, for Mark Cuban that says Trump doesn't hang out with smart, strong, intelligent women, I'm one of the ones he hang out with. And I graduated from UGA, and I have a successful business, construction business. And she went on about her accolades, and then she said, and hold on just a minute. Let me get this set in. She ran, jumped up, and did 5 pull-ups. Some people call them chin-ups. She did 1, 2, 3, 4. When she got to that 5th, she was struggling to get that 5th, but she got it up like this. Then she jumped down and says, now, back to what I was saying before. He does hang out with strong, intelligent women.
That woman's a nutcase. She really is.
What happened to us, man?
I don't know.
How do these people get elected?
And I'm sitting there like, really? Okay.
Yeah.
That's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
But
I don't know, man. We used to have a lot of respect for the people in public office.
Yes.
Not so much anymore.
Now there's a laughing stock. Many of them are a laughing stock, and I don't know how we got to this point. Well, we're here now.
And I used to, when I grew up, Republicans were very well respected.
Mm-hmm.
Business people who pretty much, I mean, they were, I guess, quote, conservative. I don't like to put titles on people.
Right.
But respectable. And I don't know, man, this whole MAGA thing seems to have brought out the worst in a lot of people.
Absolutely, Tom. I agree. It's election day, and we in Alabama did not have the option of early voting, so
it doesn't matter in Alabama because they can call Alabama. If polls close at 6, they can call Alabama at 6:15.
Yep, pretty much. They
actually told me to open at 7. They could have called it at 7:15.
I do have friends that say they were in line at 6, as early as 6 o'clock this morning. There were already 50 to 100 people at several different polling places waiting to vote, and many of those people look like us. So of course we don't know how they're voting, but it gives me hope that people are getting out and going to vote today. I plan to go vote as soon as the show's over today, and So it'll be interesting to see. I hear that they were having extra security in many of the voting at many of the polls because they just don't know what's going to happen if it's especially polls in certain areas of the city or the state, because they feel like some of these mega nuts may come out and try to do something to sabotage the elections or threaten some of the voters or whatever. So they were heightened security at many of the locations. And again, I don't know how we got here. It's sad to see that some people are so concerned about getting their candidate in that they're willing to do illegal, immoral tactics in order to help them win.
Yeah, whatever it takes, I guess.
Yeah.
Michael, when you were talking about the hospitals,
yeah,
that guy just walked into the hospital, and I've maybe mentioned this before, but I remember, man, when church, you could just walk in churches and go in and pray, and our church was right across from the school, Catholic church, Catholic school, and you could go in, light a candle, pray for whomever, whatever, and nobody bothered you. Nobody said anything. We're just in a whole different climate now.
We are.
And you got to lock the churches. You got to have armed guards at the hospital now.
Yes.
To keep people from coming in, and they always blame it on the mentally ill and the indigent people who are homeless, so to speak. I don't know, man. I see homeless people. There's a homeless guy that lives in a box around when I'm riding my bicycle, and I take him food. Right. And he's nice. He just, whatever happened in his life, I never asked him. Things just didn't work out the way they have for either one of you guys or for me. And
right.
But he's not a bad guy, Right. He's never been ugly. I don't know. I don't get it. So
it's almost like what bothers me is that people prejudge people in those situations.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they do.
Kind of like what you're talking about, Tom, and they're quick to say, "Well, it's his fault that he did it," or he brought it upon himself. When they don't know,
the circumstances.
Right? They don't know the circumstances, don't know his journey, and there are certain people that are, part of the privileged part of our society, and they always say, well, you can just pick yourself up by the bootstraps, and you can if you work hard enough, you can get things done, and I was talking to one person who talked about this person who had some issues, business issues and stuff, and had to sue somebody, actually had to sue a member of family to regain control. But this person was down on their luck, okay? But the difference is they had to sue in order to regain control of their financial well-being. But guess what? They had a lawyer that took it pro bono. I've never had a lawyer that take anything pro bono for me, regardless of what the circumstances were.
Right.
Okay. Right. Regardless of how badly I was screwed over, they want even more money. The worse I was screwed over, the more money they wanted. Right. So when I stopped this person I was talking to, I said, okay, now let's stop and analyze what you just said. She got a lawyer that took a case pro bono. You think I'd get a lawyer that take my case pro bono?
Right.
Okay. Nope. I said, so you can't just say all you got to do is pick yourself up by the bootstraps. Sometimes you don't even have a bootstrap.
Right. Sometimes you don't have boots.
Exactly. Absolutely. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Just so people need to stop judging people. Okay.
But Michael, that's where the privilege comes in. They don't see that as a privilege. Anybody can do it in their minds. That you could have the same opportunity I have, but when certain groups are given preference over others, then that is privileged. They are some of them are privileged, and again,
but we don't do that anymore. You know.
Oh, yes, we do.
We got rid of that, all that stuff that was going to help those minorities. We got rid of that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's on merit now.
Right.
It's based off of merit.
It should have always been based on merit. And if
merit never worked for me.
I was going to say, if it had been, we wouldn't have needed DEI.
It's never been based on merit.
You're right. It hasn't.
It's never been based on merit. Merit was an excuse when someone that's underserved didn't get the opportunity. They said, well, it was merit. That's why you didn't get it. Merit? Did you look at my damn credentials?
Right.
Okay.
Right. And Tom, I cannot forget the example you gave about Michael applying for the job at Bell South, and you interviewed him and recommended him to the manager, and the manager's like, yeah, it's great hire, great fit.
They gave a test.
Oh, the test. Okay.
The test was geared for
certain
people
groups
in the majority stream. Most of the people in the minority stream didn't pass the test. The test had nothing to do with the job, and Michael passed the test. And and we had a great interview, and so on and so forth. And so, I knew a job that was perfect for him. It was in marketing.
Right.
And I called the guy and I said, hey man, I got a guy for you. Can I set up an appointment for you? Because I was doing employment then at the time.
Right.
And,
right.
He said, yeah, send him over. And we sent him over. The guy called me back. He said, this guy was great. He said, oh, we love him. I said, well, you want to make an offer to him? Well, no. He did a Trump. He said, we don't have a black job.
Those black jobs been in existence for a long time.
He said, I want to wait till we get a black slot so I can put him in there. And,
so what was that, 1980, 79, 80?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
so,
it was 81. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So those black jobs have been in existence for quite some time, huh?
Well, no, see, let's be accurate here. The black job at the time was climbing the telephone poles. That was the black job.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. That was the only job that you could get if you were a minority with the phone company, is doing telephone repair work out there.
Let me tell you the rest of the story. And I don't know if I ever told you this part. So I went and talked to my boss, and I said, this guy, I brought this guy in. He's an Auburn guy, and they loved Auburn. I said, he's an Auburn guy. He passed, so on and so forth. And he said, well, what was the issue? We're going to have it. I said, no. He said he wanted to wait till he got a black slot, blah, 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 blah. So then I started telling him about this woman who came in. She was a cheerleader at the University of Alabama. White girl. Right. And nice person. I knew a guy she dated, and she didn't pass the test. And so my boss was out that day, and he came in and he said, well, how'd she do? I said, well, she didn't pass. So when you didn't pass, you couldn't take the test again for 6 months or a year or something like that. You had to wait. Right. And I said, well, I told her I'd test her again in 6 months, whenever the time period was. So he said, no. He said, I already talked to her. I'm going to test her next week, and we'll bring her in next week. And so he said, but I'm going to do it. I said, okay, no problem. So she passed.
Yeah, of course she did.
And that was that affirmative action that they never talked about. That was the DEI that they don't discuss.
Right.
So that was the merit that they don't talk about.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So let's we got about 20 more minutes. I want a couple things. Halloween, I don't know how Halloween was where you guys were, but it was crazy around here. They bring all these kids in, man, and they just run up and down the street, and the parents. And I went out there the next morning, and there were beer bottles and all kinds of trash they'd left.
They just had a party on your street, huh?
Oh yeah, they do. They do, and they block the street off. The police sit there with the light flashing the whole time,
Oh,
and
wow.
cars can't drive in there. So if I want to park in my driveway, I need to get home before all that starts.
Oh, wow.
And it's interesting. I mean, the kids have a great time, and you certainly like that. But I don't know. Some of us live here, man.
Right. Absolutely.
It's pretty. But I tell you, the other thing that's really interesting is Halloween's over, and they've already started with Christmas, man. The Christmas stuff is going. I saw one woman put up a tree right at the day after Halloween.
Yeah, there's several people I've seen post on social media. They have their trees up already. They put them up November 1st.
Yeah. So
we have Thanksgiving first.
You would think.
Move it along. So let's talk about the election, the presidential election. Anybody got anything they want to start off with?
Yeah, I want to start off with this. Did you guys see Saturday Night Live the other night?
I did.
I didn't.
I did.
Well, they did this skit, and they have Maya Rudolph, who portrays Vice President Harris.
Yes.
And so she was sitting there talking and everything and emulating Harris, and said, I just wish I had somebody to talk to that understood. And she looked in the mirror. On the other side of the mirror was Kamala Harris and stuff. And so it went great. And it was so funny that Maya laughed like Kamala laughed.
Yes.
And Kamala goes, do I really laugh like that? And she said, kind of like that.
It was really good.
It was really good.
Great. I wish I had seen it.
And
it's out on YouTube, Tom. If I find it, I'll send it to you.
Okay.
And I think she ended up by saying, I'll vote for Kamala or something like that. Well, the Trump team is all up in a roar over it, saying that it was unfair publicity and what have you. But the fact is, he did it in 2015 on Jimmy Fallon's show.
Yes.
And nobody said anything about it. But now there's a big problem with it. And I find that, this is just my opinion, who knows how this election is going to go because it's razor thin. But it seems that Harris is picking up momentum. First, when Harris was appointed, or some people say anointed or nominated, she had a big momentum swing. And then it kind of dropped a little. And then Trump comes out and he's going. And even as far back as maybe 2 weeks ago, they were saying that Trump had the lead. Now that momentum has switched some, and Harris is picking up a lot of independents and what have you. And there's a lot of gender.
A lot of Puerto Ricans.
Yeah, a lot of Puerto Ricans with the garbage.
Right.
And that, it's funny how, to me, people are desperate when they just latch on anything. Everybody knows that Biden misspoke when he said whatever he said. Right. Quite frankly, I didn't really understand, because when I heard what he mumbled, I'm like, well, that's not what he meant.
Right.
But they have latched on to that to try to say that that's what Harris is calling them garbage, when it was Trump that had publicly got up and said she's dumb, she is a S vice president. He used that to describe her. He was at one rally when a person yelled out, she worked on the corner.
Right.
And he didn't disavow it, like the example you gave, Tom, about what Tom McCain did regarding Obama and stuff. And I will tell you.
And did he at a rally call her the B word last night?
Yeah,
or something?
He did last night, I think.
Yeah. And I saw
and
a person.
You know what, Michael? Excuse me a minute for cutting you off, but Barbara said, I saw one of my classmates. This is what that does. And this woman ain't never left the city of Birmingham, so how in the hell would she know?
Right.
But she talked about Kamala being on the corner and what she had to do to get in this position. And and I just thought, ooh.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Even if I knew that was the case, I wouldn't say it.
Right.
Yeah, but that shows you how
Michael,
far.
go ahead, man.
That shows you how far we've gone. But Sunday, I was coming back from Auburn, going home, and I saw a lady standing on the side of the street in a Glad trash bag.
Yeah.
She had a bag on and had her head cut out the bottom of it and her arms out and and then she had a sign saying I'm garbage. And it took me a minute to
Wow.
realize.
Figure it out. That's good.
That's crazy. That is
So,
crazy.
but I think that momentum is shifting some. She's kind of picked up a lot of stuff, and I heard that I think in Pennsylvania that this lady, when they knocked on her door, she closed the door and stepped out and said, "I don't want my husband to know, but I'm voting for Kamala."
Yes.
You know, and
There's
there's a lot of that going on. I would not be surprised if Harris squeaks it out. The markets kind of responded yesterday. Um, a lot of the home builders, their stocks went up, and that's kind of like a precursor as to what they expect under Harris administration. And I get a lot of stuff on what to watch, and right now for the election tonight, the state of Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Carolina.
Yeah.
Those are the 7 states that'll probably win this, and whoever gets the most of those will probably win it.
What they
Last
call them,
night
the
there was,
battleground states.
yeah, those are the ballot. Those are one with the most electoral votes to sit them over the top that has not already been committed to someone.
Mm-hmm.
In other
Okay.
words, and that's where the electoral college come in because you go to 270,
Right.
and I don't know how it's a total like 535 electoral college votes, which all correspond with the number of senators and congressmen from each state. That's how
Right.
they get that number. But the person is, you got to get 270, which is the majority of it. And that's where it is. And it's going to come from those states.
Wow.
Well, I don't know. Maybe we'll go back. I say go back, but maybe we'll end up with a system one day that whoever gets the most votes, period,
Yes.
wins.
That's the way it should be.
The popular vote.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, they're saying we're going to have the world's going to have where the U.S. is going to have a gender reveal today, and we're hoping it's a girl.
We talk about the division in the country. When I go to, I went to the bank yesterday. I went to the post office yesterday, and something else I did yesterday. Nobody's divided.
Right.
Nobody's talking about, well, you took my parking space, you must be so and so and so and so. How do we get into this whole quote? The division thing seems to be manufactured to me.
It is,
and it's not healthy. It's not healthy for any of us. It's not healthy for the country. And so hopefully we can move past it at some point. But I don't see that happening anytime soon.
No.
Excuse me a minute. Tom, you and Barbara, I got to tell you this, Tom. You remember, Barbara, when Tom had his issue with his bank not long ago?
Yes.
He was trying to put in a little check. I think the check was about $3,000, Tom,
Yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah.
Something like that. Well, check this out. TD Bank. You guys have heard of TD Bank. It's a Canadian subsidiary that does business here. And the reason why it's called TD is Toronto Dominion Bank. Okay?
Right.
Well, they have been busted for facilitating the laundry of more than $500 million by human traffickers, fentanyl dealers, and major Ponzi schemes and others. And they fail to file the mandated reports on suspicious activities. Now, you know that if you go to your bank and you withdraw $10,000 cash, they report that.
Yes.
That's part of FinCEN law, okay?
Yes.
Or if you come in and you deposit $10,000 cash, even if you had saved this money up at home, they're gonna report that, right? Because you're a criminal. You're doing some criminal activity. Well, there's a transaction where one of the launderers deposited and withdrew more than $1 million cash in the same day, and it didn't get reported. Now, Tom, you had a problem with a $3,000 check, didn't you?
He deposited and withdrew it.
He deposited and withdrew more than $1 million cash in a single day.
The check I had was for $3,900, and it was from Citizens, which is the state-run home insurance company for the state of Florida. So they wouldn't write me a bad check. They actually was a refund check.
Right.
But we're not there anymore. So.
I don't blame you, Tom.
And there was one. Well, there were two ladies there. One of them left, black woman. She ended up taking a job in Georgia. And this other woman, this white woman, who's always been professional and always been helpful and so on and so forth. She's not the manager, but if I wanted something done at that bank, I always went to her. I didn't go to the manager because she wasn't worth crap. And she called me the other day just to see how I was doing and see if I needed something from the bank or what have you. Well, obviously she didn't know what had happened, so the manager didn't tell her.
Oh wow!
I'm one of her best clients. And
yes.
She didn't tell her. So it's just interesting. I still have my business account and my personal account open there. They're down pretty low, but I'm just waiting because I got a couple of things I need a couple of things to clear before I can close it out. But yeah, she lost that business.
Well, check this out. The bank is only the settlement is gonna cost them $3 billion. That's their slap on the wrist. But the kicker here is none of the upper management supervisors, or none of them, are going to jail or having any fines or any retribution.
Not going to lose their jobs or anything.
Nothing.
Well, I guess that's some kind of DEI type thing, right? they must be. They must be minorities, right?
Probably just the opposite, Tom.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. That's unbelievable, but it's absolutely
going back to that privilege thing again.
Let's take a quick break and bring Sean in to do Got a Minute, because we've kind of moved past her time frame. Sean, are you still out there? Come on in and do Got a Minute for us, please.
Good morning to everyone joining in with us. My name is Shantia Jones, and this is Got a Minute. It's election day. There's posters, supporters, and lines everywhere. In case you have or have not cast your vote yet, here are some things to know as we wait for the results. 1, if you haven't voted, you still may have time. More than 20 states offer same-day voting. 2, be mindful of rumors and baseless claims. It's a charged political atmosphere, and rumors about the election and fake videos can take off online before trusted sources have a chance to correct the record. 3, campaigns are focused on 7 swing states: Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Arizona, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Nevada. And 4, a candidate who appears to be leading can be overtaken by another candidate. A number of factors affect how quickly votes can be tallied. Either way, there's tons of history behind voting. Be a part of it. I am. Thank you all for joining in. My name is Shantia Jones, and this has Got a Minute.
I think another thing people need to keep in mind is it depends on where the votes are coming from. If it's in Georgia, and they've counted votes in the southern part of the state and in the rural parts of the state, and they hadn't counted Atlanta, then Atlanta is probably going to send those totals in a different direction because you're talking about different people. And that was, to me, what happened last year when, I was going to call him a name, but when the guy who is...
the orange guy.
Yeah, the orange guy. That's a good one. When the orange guy raised all that heck, lost all those court cases, because I remember when they called Georgia, and it was, hey, they said, well, we still hadn't got Fulton County.
Right.
It's like, well, hell, I know who lives in Fulton County. We'll see how that goes.
Right.
So here's a couple things regarding taxes and the agenda. Kamala Harris' economic plan states that she would roll back tax cuts for wealthy Americans, enact a billionaire minimum tax, and quadruple the tax on stock buybacks. That's why you've got a lot of these people that are supporting Trump, because he, on the other hand, is saying that he will express lowering interest rates on corporate income tax to 20%. He's going to roll it back down to 20%. And that's part of their difference is she's saying she's going to make the corporations and the billionaires pay their fair tax. Okay. Trump is not really wanting to do that. She also says that she will not raise taxes on anyone making under $400,000 a year.
Right.
Okay. So that's part of the crux of what's going on here.
Well, I guess you won't get a tax cut then, Michael.
But you know, what bothered me is Trump has said that he would put Elon Musk in his cabinet. Elon Musk has become the richest man in the world because he's getting government contracts.
Yes.
Now, you want to talk about affirmative action.
Right.
You want to talk about DEI. I don't care what kind of idea I came up with if I went there to try to get money. Now, he's getting money to manufacture Tesla and the EV.
Mm-hmm.
He's getting all these tax breaks, all these contracts.
Right.
Okay. But they don't call that affirmative action or DEI.
You remember for a few years ago when they did what were those loans? The $25,000 loans they were given, and then
PPP loans.
You know,
right.
I don't know. It's just interesting that hey, you go get a $25,000 loan from the bank and see if they're gonna forgive it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But Michael, going back to Elon Musk, how can he become a member of the cabinet or serve in the administration as a business owner? To me, that's a conflict of interest. Major conflict of interest.
Well, wait a minute, Barbara. He can do it the same way because the former president made all the detail and employees of the federal government stay in his hotels when he traveled, and he raised the rates by 300%. Okay,
yeah, that was a conflict of interest as well.
Well, that's criminal,
big
really.
time.
That should be criminal.
It should be right.
Yeah. So he didn't disclose that. Trump Hotel downtown Atlanta, that was a post office. He bought it from the government, U.S. Postal building, turns it into a hotel. Every time dignitaries came from out of town, they had to stay at Trump Hotel. I had people in my association that wanted to go over there. Let's go over to Trump Hotel. I said, I'm not going over there. One guy went over there and bought one drink, cost him $50.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, you know, sure, he feels like Trump says that the president should have absolute authority and power to do what he wants. So he figured he can make Elon Musk a part of his cabinet. And he said he put Robert Kennedy in charge of something. Who would put Robert Kennedy Jr. in charge of anything?
Nothing.
Not even his own family. Okay. So just think about that now.
Yeah. Well, hey, you guys got anything else?
I just want to encourage people to get out and vote. If you haven't already voted, please go vote. I got my vote necklace on. I don't know if you can see it. My Delta shirt says Delta Voices, Delta Votes. I'm going to the polls as soon as this is over with, and I want everyone to meet me there or beat me there.
What is Kamala a Delta?
No, she's an AKA.
She's an AKA.
But, hey, we're all Greek, so we're supporting her, and we're all female, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'm just curious.
Yes.
What she was.
Yeah.
Okay. You guys got anything else? All right. Well, let's close it out with our closing comment here. Okay, is it officially the holiday season? It didn't used to be, at least not this early. Not the 1st of November. Seems Halloween has become the kickoff for the holiday season. I witnessed people putting up some Christmas decorations immediately after dismantling the Halloween decorations. And there were many of them, pumpkins, demons, skeletons, ghosts, all through the neighborhood. Hopefully, let's shift to the election. Hopefully the election and subsequent inauguration of a new president will go peacefully. Hopefully, some of your other candidates will win. It's more than just the presidential election. Remember, there are statewide initiatives and local issues on the ballot. We have an issue on the ballot where people who don't live within the city proper want to have say so over what the city does, and hopefully that will be defeated. Those initiatives and issues will have more effect on us personally than, in some cases, the presidential election. I witnessed people putting up some Christmas decorations immediately after dismantling the Halloween decorations, and there were many of them. But hopefully the election and subsequent inauguration of a new president will end peacefully. Hopefully some of the other candidates will win. This is about more than the presidential election. And hopefully we will not have another January 6th. Will the division of the populace continue? Yeah, as long as we continue to divide ourselves with silliness like red and blue states. I consider that silly. Titles such as liberals and conservatives. And remember, in this country, at some point, everybody here in this country was either an immigrant or a descendant of an immigrant. But we're all Americans. And that's our show for today. I want to thank the audience. We appreciate you. We want to thank our G-list guests, which was a roundtable. Thank our sponsor, Best Girl. Thanks again to the TWT team, Barbara, Sean, Emily, Michael, and Joyce. And that's it for this November the 5th. Not October, it's November the 5th. Remember, a day without a smile is a day wasted. Enjoy yourself. Make every day count. Stay safe. Peace.